Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanal Pranam. Maybe we can start now.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Okay. So I'll start. So should I, my voice is clear?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Om
Bhagavate
Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Okay, so we're talking on this topic. Books are the basis. And Srila Prabhupada has always said, purity is force, preaching is essence, and books are the basis. He said this. Srila Prabhupada said, if you want to know me, read my books. Srila Prabhupada also complained to his devotees that my devotees are not reading my books. He also said many times that if the devotees will not read my books, they will eat, sleep, and waste their time and then fall down. Srila Prabhupada has written his letters to GBCs where he said, please take care. The main function of GBCs is to see that all devotees are reading Prabhupada books, my books. And Srila Prabhupada also said that devotees are distributing my books. That's very nice. But if they don't read my books, it will simply turn out to be a materialistic activity, simply selling books. So there are so many quotations of Srila Prabhupada, and we read in a very balanced view all these quotations. One thing is clear, that Srila Prabhupada wants us to read his books and understand them properly, apply them and realize them in our lives. And that's why Srila Prabhupada said books are the basis. If we don't read Srila Prabhupada books, then what happens is we will become, as Srila Prabhupada said, we will become dull and unenthusiastic. Why? Because Srila Prabhupada in his books, he has given philosophy. And Sri Mahaprabhu says, if we understand philosophy, our mind becomes strong and we can resist the temptations of Maya. Without knowledge, we are weak, because if we don't have knowledge, then there will be many doubts haunting our mind, and many kind of maybe offensive thoughts, and then our bhakti creeper gets stifled and eventually fall down. Another thing, if we don't read Srila Prabhupada books, we might get confused, because one thing is that we are in an institution, ISKCON, and there are many devotees. There are many good devotees, there are many stupid devotees. I can say that. There are many useless devotees also. There are all kind of devotees. There are many hypocrites also. There are many diplomats also there. So, if we don't read Prabhupada books, we will be hearing to so many people. Everybody has their own opinions. And everybody says Srila Prabhupada said this. But if not read Prabhupada books, then you become confused. What to do then? How do you know that Srila Prabhupada said this one? And if anybody has his own opinion, then why should we agree to their opinion? Because we must follow what Srila Prabhupada says. That's very clear. So, in order to follow Srila Prabhupada perfectly and dedicatedly, and in order to follow Srila Prabhupada as Srila Prabhupada wanted, we have to read his books. Otherwise, we'll become confused. The internet platform, there are so many speakers speaking so many things, and of course, there's a wealth of information, but then there's wealth of misinformation and disinformation also. There's a problem there. So that's why Srila Prabhupada said books are the basis, whether on individual level, whether on institutional level. In order to protect our institution from getting deviated into wrong philosophies and wrong notions, we must know what Srila Prabhupada says. Otherwise, whole institutions become deviated in a different angle. And we know, I mean to say, we know today that many people who are reading Srila Prabhupada books outside ISKCON movement, when they come in ISKCON movement, they notice that devotees are not following Srila Prabhupada. They notice, and there's a scholar who had written a book, Inside Hare Krishna, some title I forgot. And he made a statement that it's unfortunate that in ISKCON devotees are not following Srila Prabhupada. He noticed this. And it's not a new thing. I mean to say, it's not, oh, this is happening. Well, this happened in Christianity. I mean to Saint Francis was completely frustrated. He said, you're not following Bible. Protestants, Martin Luther, and they had the same thing. They said Catholics that you're not following Christ. Hare Krishna. I'm having cold, sorry. So this happened. What's that? Yeah, I'll just speak here. I'll keep it short. So even in other sampradayas, Sri Sampradaya, Madhva Sampradaya, Mahaprabhu went to Udupi and he said, Tumi Tattvadi. He made a comment on them and he said, well, you are not following as Madhvacharya said. You are deviated. So this is happening here also. It can happen, and it's happening in an institution. So how to protect that? Books are the basis. It reached Prabhupada books. What he said, we must do it. So books are the basis at individual level, so that we advance in spirituality, we don't fall in doubts and confusions. At institutional level, so that institution doesn't get deviated into a wrong direction. Entire institution gets deviated, and then they become upper sampradaya from sampradaya. And at word level, because Srila Prabhupada says, if you distribute my books, entire world can become Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada said, that's why Srila Prabhupada said books are the basis. Prabhupada said, when you preach, the success of preaching is that my books are distributed. Because people preach people, but if we give books, that's there for his whole life, and he can change his life. So at word level, at community level, Srila Prabhupada, these books are the basis, is the line. And of course, books are the basis because books also give, it's for Chaitanya Charitamrita, nectar of devotion. Srila Prabhupada said, books provide us wealth of information about Krishna, and it helps us to develop relishment and nourishment and higher taste in Krishna consciousness. So again, books are there to advance in Krishna consciousness at individual level, and also at a group level. Devotees, when they come together, what they're supposed to do? Read books, discuss that. So at group level, at community level, Vaishnava community level, again, books are the basis. Otherwise, if If people don't read books and they come together, devotees, then they'll chit chat and they will talk complete nonsense. So at all levels, individual, institutional, ward level, Vaishnav community level, at all level, books are the basis. Books are the foundation of Krishna consciousness. Bhagavatam, Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it's not a Srila Prabhupada didn't say something new that books are the basis, but he reminded us, Ramanacharya, he reminded us the same thing, that you must read Acharya's books, otherwise you will not advance well. If you can't read, then you hear. That's one thing. Then you hear, just like we are hearing now. But make sure that we must always discuss, read Srila Prabhupada books. Books are the basis. Doesn't only mean reading. We should discuss Srila Prabhupada books. We should distribute Srila Prabhupada books. And we should follow Srila Prabhupada books. We should appreciate and praise Srila Prabhupada books. In that capacity, Srila Prabhupada said books are the basis. So, one thing is very important. When Srila Prabhupada said books are the basis, many devotees will argue that, well, I don't have time to read books. One argument is this, well, okay, I know books are the basis, but Indians don't have time to read books, or they're very lazy to read Srila Prabhupada books. That's second number argument. Oh, I don't find it reading so interesting. I can't read. I can't. Third point is, devotee says, I can't understand. It's so complex philosophy, so I get bored of. A fourth point, people say that many devotees who have left ISKCON and went to Gaudiya Math, they say, well, Prabhupada books are basis, but they are basics. Not only basis, but they are basics. So that's the whole problem there. But all these arguments are complete nonsense. I mean to say, as far as when devotee says we don't have time, well, where there is will, there is a way. Simple. We don't. It's not the question that we don't have time. The question is we don't take out time to read books. That's the question. Devotees say, well, philosophy is so complex, I can't understand. It's so boring. I feel boring while reading because I don't have reading habit. Well, if you read again and again, you will start understanding philosophy. It's with all subjects. Even in school, we had to read history, chemistry, which was so boring subjects. But devotees, but students who read it again and again, they got interest in that subject. We have to read. No children, no child likes to read. But parents force the child, and he has to read the books, his subjects, and then he becomes an educated person. So we have to force ourselves to read. Even if we don't have a habit of reading, or we find reading boring, we have to force. Otherwise, we don't become an advanced devotee. Just like if we don't force yourself to read normal subjects, you don't become educated. And this, some devotees says Prabhupada books are basics. They say there's no higher stuff in Prabhupada books. That's absolutely crap. They have not read Prabhupada books, people who say this. I mean to say Prabhupada is Prabhupada books. Chaitanya Charitamrita, that's basics. Prabhupada has not changed any words there. Prabhupada has given just English translation or whatever translation devotees have done. That's super specialization. It's not basics. It's right there. Prabhupada didn't say don't read Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's there. Prabhupada didn't say don't read Antelila. You can read Antelila. What is deeper than other than Chaitanya Charitamrita Antelila? So Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto. That's not basics. Prabhupada said that read my books. Read my books scrutinizingly. That's what Prabhupada said. Read my books scrutinizing. Srila Prabhupada said that. Every verse scrutinizing. Read my books like law books. That's also Srila Prabhupada said. So all these arguments are foolish arguments. And Prabhupada books have basics, but Prabhupada books also have depth. The Prabhupada books are simple yet deep. Prabhupada books are very interesting provided you read it and develop a habit of reading. The purports are so relishable and so practical, by the way. Srila Prabhupada purports are so practical. Prabhupada is talking about petroleum banking system in Bhagavatam commentary, 10th canto. You might think, oh, yes, talk about Krishna. Well, Prabhupada, that is something ingenuity in Prabhupada books. He has a different perspective of seeing things and applying the whole Bhagavatam practically. Prabhupada is talking about Varnashrama when Prabhupada is come to 10th canto. Prabhupada said Krishna lived with cows and he had farms. So we should live like that. That's the best life. First saw this. So Prabhupada, that's why Prabhupada, because Prabhupada books are practical, it's so relishing. So people who say all these things, it's boring, it's basics, they're foolish people. They don't understand what's Prabhupada books. They've not read Prabhupada books properly. They're simply speaking without reading, and that's why they're making these comments. Don't get confused by all these stupid comments. And that's why I said books are the basis. They even in an institution, they tried to change Prabhupada books. That is quite interesting. Try to edit Prabhupada books and having to just change some certain sentences. They want to delete certain sentences from Prabhupada books. It was happening long back. Now it's not there, but this happened at one point of time. They said, no, Prabhupada, some statements are very outrageous. We should delete them. Now, that's the whole point. If we don't read Srila Prabhupada books, then we will come up with these weird theories and we'll try to change Srila Prabhupada books, and that will destroy the whole movement. Because books are the basis, and basis and foundation should never change. The building can be destroyed and reconstructed, but the foundation should never change. If foundation gets shaken, then the whole project is lost and we fail the project. So that is why Srila Prabhupada said, books are the basis. For books, Srila Prabhupada made BBT, which had a, in fact, for Prabhupada books was so important that BBT had a different legal system than whole institution of ISKCON. Even today, BBT is not part of ISKCON legally. BBT, although externally BBT is, but internally it has a different legal entity. Prabhupada said its funds should be different, its legal entity should be different. Even if an institution lands up and a temple lands up in big problems legally, at least BBT will not land up in problems. And we will continue distributing books. And until our books continue to distribute it, this movement will never be destroyed. Even if temples are gone. Temples temples, they come and go. They are buildings, I think to say. But books will never get destroyed. That is why Prabhupada's master, he said, and if you get money, print books. That's how important Srila Prabhupada, in Prabhupada's mind, books were. Prabhupada also said when he was constructing Juhu temple, first BBT was there in Juhu temple, and he said in Juhu temple to Giriraj Maharaj that whatever funds you get, 50% should go for BBT. Straight away, no questions. For maintenance, if maintenance is money is less, you earn more, you collect more, but 50% should go to BBT. That's how important Prabhupada books were. So let's read Srila Prabhupada books and make others read Srila Prabhupada books as it is. Don't try to change them, don't try to edit them. Try to follow it, and gradually we realize books are the basis. Okay, Hare Krishna. I'll just stop here. It's difficult for me to talk. Any questions? At this point? Hare Krishna. Well, who is a host? I don't know what's happening.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This is Madhu Sevidas here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So sometimes we hear this contention that, Prabhu, that, this is a big movement. Not everyone is Brahmanical. So, some people may not have any inclination to read books. It's all right. Let them sing and dance. So that's completely fine. So what should we do in such a situation when we see practical?
Well, Prabhupada never said that. Prabhupada always said we want devotees with Brahmanical mind and with Brahmanical nature and the spirit of Kshatriyas. So Brahmanical thing, reading Prabhupada books doesn't require any Brahmanical quality. It's very normal. You have to read. I mean, it's if you're an institution. In every institution, people read their institutional books.
Yes.
So for Brahmanical, that's why even in Varnashrama, even Vaishya, Shudra, Brahman, Kshatriya, Srila Prabhupada commended this Varnashram system, and Prabhupada has always said, no matter in whatever Varnashrama, my books everybody should study. But for Brahmanas, what is reserved for Brahmanas is specialized subjects. They will read Vedanta Sutra, they will go deeper in Sanskrit, they might read astrology or something. But Prabhupada books are basics. I mean to say, Prabhupada books are the basis for all Varnas. Prabhupada never said that only Brahmanas will read my books. That will create chaos. Then what other people will do? They will not read Prabhupada books. Then what they will do? Then what they're supposed to think? Nonsense, trash. So that's the wrong argument there. Brahmanical tendency. They have not even understood Varnashram system. People who are saying this, and they have not even understood what Prabhupada is saying about Varnashram. Prabhupada said every Varna should read my books. That's
Yeah, that's right, Prabhu. I mean, Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna is saying, Ye Pisyo Papa Yoniya, Stri Vaishya Shudra. Very basic knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes, so thank you. Thank you, Prabhu.
So, what are you supposed to do? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, even there are certain instructions which are given in the books, and when nowadays when we point out slight deviations, then we are told that there is during Prabhupada's time things were different. Time, place, and circumstances were different. Now it is different. So how do we understand this, Prabhuji?
Well, that's true. Time, place, circumstance is different. That's of course, time is of course different. Prabhupada was 1970s, it is 2020. And place is also different. We are in Bombay, I'm in Punjab. And of course, circumstance is also different. But the point is, whatever Srila Prabhupada has written in his books, that's universal instructions. That's nothing specific. It was not directed, when Prabhupada is writing books, he's not writing for one person, he's writing for entire population. Prabhupada was not fool, isn't it? But when Prabhupada
in
is
fact, he even said his books will hold true for the next 10,000 years.
So then, So when Prabhupada is writing letters, then he's writing to a particular person. There you can bring an argument. Okay, time plus circumstance. That particular person Prabhupada is writing, so there's an instruction. But books, Prabhupada is writing, we have to follow. Prabhupada is writing in his books, don't open hospitals, don't open yoga clubs, don't just distribute food to anybody, to just for distributing. So it's all philanthropic activity. So it's not directed to one person. That's our philosophy in books. So we should not do that. All. So this timeless argument will not hold for books. It might hold for letters, but it's not holding for books. Otherwise people will change. Otherwise everything will change. And otherwise you can change anything by this argument, time, place, circumstance. Even in Sri Sampradaya is there for last 1800 something years or whatever. So what about 11 and 1200 years, whatever. So Sri Sampradaya, even still they, whatever Ramanuja said, they follow in his books. Whatever Ramanuja told in his books, they followed as it is in all Sampradayas. So why not here? Why to bring arguments, time, place, circumstance? If that was the case, then Prabhupada should not have written those points in his books. And Prabhupada would have just mentioned in the letters to a specific person. But he's, yeah, you're right, for 10,000 years, then what do you do? What's the point there? For 10,000 years, people say Prabhupada books are for 10,000 years, then what's the meaning of that? The meaning is that the Prabhupada books will be printed for 10,000 years, but we're not going to follow it. It's a complete dichotomy. It's a complete crazy idea. Prabhupada written in his books, don't eat outside food. You cannot offer outside food to Krishna, so we are not supposed to do it. But okay, timeless circumstance, Prabhuji, this and that. Why Prabhupada, right? And it's for our benefit, our consciousness will get contaminated, polluted. So like that, these are basics. Why to change? Devotees who give this argument of timeless circumstance, they want to do sense gratification. It's clear. And yet they want to not be labeled as that they are not following Srila Prabhupada. That's a very, very malicious strategy. I can say like that.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you for the clarity of that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, it's Yamuna Jeevani Priya here. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
I have one question, a bit like a side question for my husband's question about this, you would say, standards of ISKCON nowadays, that many people are interested of only in kirtan and prasadam and these kind of things in the temples, like even initiated devotees and all. So like, what is your suggestion to like deal with them? That should we try to encourage them somehow to read books, or just kind of let them be? And or I don't know, like what would be the best, like?
See, it will depend how much you have say in the temple and how much you have say in the management. But as a general policy, it's very nice if we can encourage devotees to read books, because simply doing kirtanam and eating prasadam, they land nowhere. It's like you see the point. If we simply eat prasadam and do kirtans, our temples become like Sanatana Dharma temple, normal Hindu temple. They also do the same thing. If you go in a normal Hindu temple, so you are where? So you are in America?
No, I'm here in Finland. Like he's my husband.
Oh, Finland. Okay, you're in Finland. So yeah. So even in Finland, I mean to say, even in Finland, see the general scenarios people come to. Even in Finland, you might be having some Hindu temples somewhere.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
So yeah, you go there, some kirtan, some prasadam, festivity. So then our ISKCON temple, what's so different from Hindu temples, and what's the point there? So if we, Prabhupada said once, our temples are not temples, our temples are education centers. Prabhupada said, I'm opening, and in fact, when Prabhupada wrote a manifesto for ISKCON, when he actually started, legalized this trust, ISKCON trust in New York in 1966, I think 13 July, something. So he had to write 7 manifesto points in that trust, what that trust is going to do. ISKCON trust. In those 7 points, the first point is to systematically propagate knowledge at large, to educate people. That's Prabhupada's first point. ISKCON trust. So Prabhupada said these are education institutes. Prabhupada always wanted, and by the way, Prabhupada wanted Varnashram colleges. Prabhupada wanted with every temple, I want a college attached. But we didn't do it. Nobody did it till yet. And that's why this chaos. So if we would have done it, if every temple we would have a college attached, then people would have come automatically. And Prabhupada's vision was people who come into temple, then they go to college, they get trained in philosophy, and then they preach. But this didn't happen. So if you see any temple in foreign countries, even in Europe, America, it's all Hindu temple. Basically, some Indians are coming and they're having some feast and doing some kirtan, and then they're empty a whole weekend. Isn't it? That's what is happening everywhere.
Yes.
So what's the point then? So the situation can change if we follow Prabhupada, that books are the basis. So we can encourage them, whatever level we can, wherever we have say, directly or indirectly. That's very nice. We can tell the importance of Srila Prabhupada books, encourage them to read. And if they read, the whole atmosphere changes. So I think that's the best thing. That's the best service we can do to devotees. We can encourage them to read Prabhupada books. That will save them. Otherwise, they will simply be doing some pious activity. It's all, you see, without reading Prabhupada books, you don't have philosophy, you don't have knowledge, you don't have correct attitude and perception. So all the kirtan and prasadam, they all become some pious activities. It's nothing to do with devotion. Just reduces to some pious. And then what's the point? Things can keep on going. If they don't get love of God. So I travel to a West. I always make it a point whenever I give lecture to inspire everybody to read Prabhupada. That's one of the central points when I speak.
Yeah, thank you. It's like many times it's very sad to see like people are talking about book distribution, getting new people to the temple, but they bring the people in the temple and then nobody preach to them. Nobody takes care of them. So like what's the point of the book distribution?
You're right, actually. It's very disheartening. It's very disheartening. But what to do? Solution is Prabhupada books. That's all.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandat pranam. Prabhuji, I hope you feel better very soon. Prabhuji, it's not a comment or not a question. I just want to give a compliment, and I do want to say thank you. In the last class, when you were here, I asked how can we help control mind, or how can we help so we can focus in chanting. You gave me a beautiful tip that, read Krishna book. Prabhuji, I just wanted to thank you. Since I started, it has helped me a lot. So one habit I have done, I wake up in the morning for chanting. I read Krishna book before chanting. And even I remember the tip that you gave that, because I was feeling sleep while chanting, and you said that, this is going to be an aparad, don't do that. So I do half of the chanting, then read Krishna book again, and then continue the rest of the chanting too.
That's very nice. Thank you for accepting the advice.
Oh, thank you so much. That was a very good advice. So I hope it continues that way. One of the aparad of sleeping, for now it's gone.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna. Danvat pranam, Ji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandat pranam.
Hare Krishna. Pranam.
Yeah, thank you for the class even in music. My question is actually related to the class that you recently gave on YouTube as well. I mean, also related to what you mentioned today. That Prabhupada's books are the basic things are only written in Prabhupada's books. And even
Yeah.
when you had taken that lecture on last instructions of Srila Prabhupada, there also he was focusing on the basics. And it's quite understandable because we are not yet at the level of understanding the intimate pastimes of Krishna.
Yeah.
And many of these people who give this argument, they also say that if we are not supposed to read these pastimes, then then Prabhupada would not have written them in the first place. But then they only focus on that. But on the
That's
other
true.
hand, Prabhupada also said, first deserve, then desire.
Yeah.
So, could you please clarify on this bit that at what stage we are eligible to read, and how do we make sense of it?
Not. See, the point is, it's not a stage we are eligible. I mean, if we are following basics, then we have to go forward and try to read pastimes of Krishna. And if by reading those pastimes, we get unwanted thoughts, let me put it like that. While reading about Radha Krishna, we get lust. Then step back. That's all. So that's how we will know whether we are ready for not that or not. So we have to go a step forward, then step back, then forward, then back. And one day we will never step back. So that's how we have to understand. Like, for example, in Bhagavatam, Sukdev Goswami, when he's speaking about Radha Krishna pastimes, especially in Gopi Geet and Brahmar Geet and all those, he has spoken in a very balanced way with philosophy. And in a very concealed way, not in so much details. But even those pastimes we are not supposed to read. They are very high pastimes that we understand. But at the same time, if you're in ISKCON if you're practicing basics of Krishna consciousness for 9 or 10 years, we have done some service to Srila Prabhupada, then we can read those pastimes. And if we still find by reading those pastimes we are getting lost and all those things, then step back, then come back. So at least minimum 10 years of good service, chanting, good understanding of philosophy is required, then we can start reading those things. 10 years duration, Nimbarkacharya said. So I'm quoting Nimbarkacharya. And it makes sense also because 5-6 years it takes to figure out what you are chanting first of all. Sorry, I'm chanting Hare Krishna. And then again 5-6 years it takes to actually develop quality of humbleness and you understand the importance of Vaishnavas and Bhagavatam. And then we can start reading Bhagavatam 10th canto. And then when we are through this 10th canto of these pastimes and we are stable, our mind doesn't get disturbed, then after 4 or 5 years we can go to Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ante Leela, we can start reading those deeper things, and that's how we go forward.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Archana Mataji, you have a question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I had heard this seminar of yours on science of Bhagavad Gita. And I was very impressed, like the way you explained that how Bhagavad Gita, you unraveled so many secret teachings in the Bhagavad Gita, like the science of religion, the science of psychology, the science of culture, then the science of Ayurveda, science of philosophy, science of education, and all that. I was really amazed. But then at the same time, I was thinking, like, for a person who doesn't know Sanskrit, will never understand all these things.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because you mention those particular shlokas and the different meanings of the words, you could derive at these conclusions. So how do you understand if you do? I mean, how would a person like me who doesn't know anything in Sanskrit understand these points from Bhagavad Gita?
By hearing my lecture.
Spoon
That-
feeding.
See, that's the beauty of associating with devotees, because every devotee cannot go in such a depth. My reading is very, very vast. I know many languages. I know Sanskrit, I know Gujarati, I know Kannada, I know Rajasthani, I know Marathi. I can read those and understand those. Bengali. So I read them, and then then I can see through these words. I know science also because I'm doing scientific research. So then I share this knowledge with people who can't do this. Of course, it's not expected everybody will be able to do it 100%. And that is why we have association. People who know, then they share, then they tell people. And then, like just like you heard, now you've got so much interest in that. So that's why you're asking how to do it. But you can also do it to an extent that, I mean, to say, I know you've got some, okay, fine, I want to read Gita in the same manner, and I want to understand. At least by hearing the lecture, at least you've got this inspiration that Bhagavad Gita is very deep and very beautiful. At least you've got that.
Exactly.
Uh,
But then if the
and
same thing, if I want to convey to others, I can't do it because because again, the hindrance is that Sanskrit language.
well, you can cram everything and do it. But yeah,
But
I
since
can
you
see
have said this, Prabhuji, I hope I can take the liberty of saying that please give us more of your association, especially for Bhagavad Gita. And please take Bhagavad Gita in a systematic manner for us, if possible. The way
okay,
you
that's
had explained in that seminar.
yeah, that's a very great idea. Yeah, that's very nice. I like to do it. I like Bhagavad Gita a lot.
Yes,
Let's see.
Prabhuji. So please do it.
Okay.
Yes.
You're
so
where?
much.
You're put up where? You're put up where? You're speaking from where?
I'm Navi Mumbai.
Navi Mumbai. Okay.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay. Okay, Pranav. So
Yes, Prabhuji. I think there are no more questions for now.
okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, and
Yes.
and
Sorry, I was
hope
just
you get
somehow
well
I got.
soon.
Yeah, I was okay. I don't know.
Yeah, in the
Somehow I got
morning you were
this.
quite fine. So
Yeah, I was fine. Somehow in the afternoon I got this. I don't know how. It's messed up. Anyway, by tomorrow I'll be okay. By your all blessings and
please
prayers.
take care, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you all of you devotees. Thank you. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyacha
Thank you, Prabhu. Hari Bol.
patitano
Naman Namaha.
pavanebhyo
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank
Hare
you very
Krishna,
much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
Pranam.
Hare
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very much.
Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guru Pranav.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you. Dandavat Pranam.